Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of IMO. My name is John.
My name is Esther.
I'm Andy.
Yes, and today we have Prof once again with us to talk about the third topic, okay, which is love and relationship.
Yes. The reason I put this in because I feel like it's very relatable. We are in, I don't know whether it's just me and our social circle, but we value love and relationships a lot.
Right.
And
We do. I believe a lot of people do.
Yeah,
all the HTHT episodes, like every time we talk about, like let's say we have heart-to-heart talk,
Yes.
like I'm willing to bet that 80% of the time love will come out.
No, actually, honestly, right, most of the time we realize that the people that we bring on to our other show, right, one of the things they tell us not to talk about is their relationship and their love life.
It's always avoid talking about the exes.
Which is strange, you know? Yeah. But okay, once again, we are in a place with the perfect three demographic.
Correct.
Yeah. We have single, we have attached, we have married.
with children.
With children.
With child,
Oh, with child. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. So maybe before we begin, just so that people, for the people who just joined us on this particular episode, maybe Andy, Prof, you can introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, I am an associate professor of psychology and medicine at NTU.
Yes. Okay.
If you haven't checked out the other two episodes, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, go and check it out.
Okay.
This is the last episode we have him on, so let's make it a good time, guys.
If you want to see Prof more often, maybe you can leave it in the comments below. Who knows, maybe if he has time, he can join us again. Okay, so let's
Look at his
begin.
unwilling face.
No, he's enjoying this. Okay, let's begin with our first topic. Okay, I like this one because it's a little bit more light-hearted, this topic. Yeah. So what are some common misconceptions about love that you think as a psychologist, okay, that people have?
Misconception about love.
Yes.
Or like toxic expectations or like any misconceptions that people might have.
Well, maybe I wouldn't talk about psychology as far, but I would talk about my personal experience.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I not to brag, but I've been in so many relationships in my life that I lose count. Like I don't remember how many girlfriends I had in my life.
That's good.
Yeah. And one of the commonalities that I found, especially with I don't know label, but I feel like a lot of my past experience with relationship is that there's a lot of expectation. You know, my partner would expect me to do this for her. I would be able to buy this for her, to go on trips together. There's a lot of expectation, and I often don't know at that moment where that expectation came from. But now looking back, I realized that a lot of this expectation is what the media portrays a relationship should look like.
Like what? Like what?
What's an example, you know?
Okay, I couldn't say for Singapore, but let's look at Hong Kong, all right?
Okay.
Hong Kong soap drama TV, like TVB, which we watch too in Singapore.
Yes.
Yeah? If you look at a drama in TVB and you look at the way that people live their life, and you look at the houses that they live in, and how they get married, the extravagance of the wedding and so on. It puts a lot of expectation. This is, if I'm going to get married, I'm going to live in a house with like 2,000 square feet. I need to have jacuzzi in my bedroom. I need to be able to go to Paris and Europe and take my photograph and whatnot. So I think a lot of those unrealistic expectation get imprinted into the minds of individuals. And then when they're in their real life relationship and they realize, oh my God, my partner cannot satisfy my needs or cannot satisfy my desire, then they're not up to par.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's more of unrealistic expectation thing that you feel like in society there's a problem. Is it based on consumerism and materialism as well?
I think very much so. Yeah, I think that's one major problem with relationship nowadays is so much based on what I have, what you can give me, what I can offer you, instead of having that true type of emotional connection.
Right.
That you can communicate. You can be there for each other. You can be each other's soulmate.
Right.
A lot of the relationship is now based on what is on the table. Yeah. The 5C as we talked about in the first.
So
episode.
what would you consider a realistic expectation or an expectation that is okay to have?
Well, I think true love is really about being able to be with that person in good times and bad times. You know,
Right.
I could be doing very well off today. I could be making tons of money and have a good quality of life.
Yeah.
But life is unexpected. One day I could fall ill. I can get a stroke, and I can no longer do the things I can do.
Yes.
Does that mean that you don't love me no more, right?
Right.
Can we have a commitment towards each other that is found on not just what I can give you, but found on the idea that there is true passion between two people, and there's an understanding, there's appreciation, rather than simply what you can do for me.
Right. Yeah. So if you think about it, that if like let's say two partners actually like think about it in that way, like what we can sort of like form instead of what we can get, right? Do you think that will be the best way to have the best basis to form a relationship on?
To say it again.
like because what you mentioned was, I feel it's very true in terms of like thinking about what you can form with your partner as compared to what you can get from your partner.
Yes, right. I think that
Do you think this would be a very strong foundation to base a
I think so. I
relationship
think
on?
having a strong, robust relationship is really start thinking about us rather than me. It's not just me, it's about us in this relationship, and together what can we achieve together. I think another misconception is that, if as people always say, if you love me, you accept this part of me. If you love me, you support me in doing everything. Well, yes, to a certain extent, but sometimes there are certain things that I cannot stand, and therefore, if that's the case, can we actually have an open, honest dialogue about this, and then find a solution towards the difficulties or the differences that we have in life, in views of life.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm so. This is.
Do you think it's because, okay, just one more thing, I'm just curious, I want to ask the both of you, do you think it's because of these kind of unrealistic expectations, right, that make people sort of forget that their partner is also another person? They just think of like, hey, you're supposed to be my boyfriend, when actually this person is supposed to actually be, I don't know, Thomas first, like an individual first.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Sometimes we pay so much attention on what I can get out of this relationship instead of looking at who I am actually with.
Yeah.
And how can I become a better version of myself because I'm with you, or we can become better versions of ourselves because we're together.
Personally, I agree. Wow.
That would have been mind-blowing if you say you disagree.
But I think it's a big problem that people don't.
Yeah.
People immediately, when they think about boyfriend or girlfriend,
it's
like, this is the person that is the giver of affection, or the giver of gifts, or the giver
like some person or provider that I take from.
Yeah.
Right.
But you don't think of them as like a separate, completely intellectual human being, or like you don't think of it as a mutual thing.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
And this is something that, apart from personal experience, has also been done in research. I mean, research have consistently found that, men, no matter where you are, typically are more romantic than women. Men are more often to believe in love at first sight.
It's science.
It is. I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. Well, whereby women are typically more, when they look for a partner, they want to look for someone who can protect them, who can provide for a family, who can help them raise a child. And the reason behind it is it's biological, it's cultural, it's evolutionary, right? And 100, 200 years ago, it's common for the men to be the breadwinner because we have that physical capacity to do the work. I mean, back in the Stone Age, it's the men who go and hunt, and the woman who comes home and nurture the family, which is something that has not changed very much in our society, even as of today.
It's just the hunt is different.
The hunt is different. We're hunting different things.
Yeah.
So there's this expectation amongst female that if I'm going to bear a child, I better find a partner that can support this. Right. Whereas for men, they are more romantic, and when they look for a partner is for physical attractiveness. Obviously, it goes both ways.
Yes.
But for men, they need to look for physical attractiveness because they want to make sure that this woman that I'm with can actually bear my child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually saw a documentary on this kind of evolutionary theories about what happens, right? It's because like it correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly from the documentary that I saw, was that like why women are like very choosy in terms of this in terms of this materialistic view of the men that they want to date, is because if from a reproductive standpoint, from an evolutionary reproductive standpoint, right, it costs the woman a lot of resources to produce offspring.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is a lot higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas men, they can just go anywhere and just spread their seeds, and it could potentially happen, right?
Yeah. That's why they are more choosy, lah.
So is this something that we're able to, I don't know, transcend?
Well, I think we're beyond the Stone Age hunt and nurture type of idea. I mean, 21st century, every mother, father, men and women works.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be very well off or privileged to be able to live on one income.
Yeah.
Right? And so the reality is both partners have to work. And so how can we make it work so that there is equality and equity in the relationship?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think equity is the word that we're actually looking for.
Yeah, and on that note, because I mean, from the evolutionary thing,
Yeah.
you just say that girls are more women are more picky as compared to men.
Yeah.
So now there's like a societal I would call it a phenomenon. I don't know is it phenomenon.
Yeah.
But like men had to chase the girls more first. Or the man is the one that is supposed to be responsible for confessing,
Making the
for
first move.
making the first move. So do you feel like it should be more of an equal thing, or do you think actually now
That would be
kind
nice.
of like
That would be nice,
That'd be
right?
nice.
It would be nice.
it would be great CC girls.
No, but like I feel that this comes from a traditional thing.
It's also traditional
right?
culture, right? So traditionally, it's the man who makes the first move, and then to initiate and express their desire, and then the woman, depending on whether she or likes him or not, then she reciprocate. But I think that trend is changing.
Okay.
On a personal experience, although yes, I was the one who made the first move to get to know my wife.
Yeah.
Once I made that first move, every other move she made first.
Ah, that's a positive story.
What
That's
about
good.
your experience, John?
My experience, I made the first move. In fact, actually, when I made the first move, I got rejected first. But I was like I think we kind of have a good thing going here. So let's just try to see where this goes. And she was open to that, and then eventually we managed to get together. So like I would say our relationships are pretty stereotypical, in the sense of what we have in our typical society. But like I get where you're coming from also in the form of like whether it is still very much like if someone a lady, right, approaches a guy first, right, people will be like, why
You look desperate.
but I
That's
don't
the
know why it's a problem. When I ask these people who question that action, I'm like, why is it a problem? They don't really have an answer.
Maybe traditionally thinking that women should be prudent. They should have chastity or whatever it is. They need to follow that traditional practice. And if I make the first move, it doesn't look good on me.
So it's just a face thing, do you think?
Maybe. I mean, if you can get beyond the face thing, and if you my wife would always tell the story, if I know what I want and if I see something I want, I'll go get it.
Actually, I think this is actually based on what I hear from my friends, right? This is actually a sentiment that a lot of like girls these days share, right? Of course, we're talking about straight relationships here, but if we want to be more inclusive, I really don't have the sample size to talk about yours, so I'm just going to use straight relationships. But I feel that this is still something that is not generally the major sentiment in society. Don't you think?
But I think it will eventually change. We are so far away from, let's say, the evolution, like Stone Ages and everything. Eventually, I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if it's a bit faster. Can nudge it a little bit
and
to
if
overdrive.
you look at population split of genders, I mean, there are a lot more women than men in the world.
Are
That's
they?
true.
Wait, for real?
I read somewhere. I mean I saw a graph on the internet. So
I think if I'm not mistaken, China definitely is.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is. Taipei is. Taiwan is. I think Singapore is too.
Oh, then what? Then why am I doing that?
why are you this demographic?
why am I here?
Go and reflect.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so next question, which is I think the main reason why you have this topic in the first place is, okay, so it's a very different world from, like I'll say 10, 20 years ago when it comes to dating especially. So how would you say, do you think it's harder to find a more nurturing or genuine relationship now?
I would say, well, I wouldn't say I think it's hard anytime, to be honest.
Right.
I think it's hard no matter which era you're in. Maybe in the earlier 70s, 60s, 50s, life is simpler, and therefore, people can be easily satisfied, I suppose. They don't go and explore as much. But now in the 21st century, there's so much temptation, there's so many possibilities, there's so many opportunities, and dating apps create this idea that we can get anybody that we want.
Yes.
And there's so many choices out there. So you may not be satisfied with what you have, and you're always looking for more, and that can prevent you from slowing down and really enjoying the relationship that you have now.
So you feel like the fact that we have so many choices to the point that it might be too many choices is a bad thing?
Yeah, actually,
It's detrimental,
in
right?
positive psychology, having too much choices is detrimental to our health
What? Really?
because we don't know what to choose, and
Then you cannot settle on the choice.
yes, and also the requirement for us to choose in a very short period of time give us a lot of anxiety and stress, and we might make the wrong decision. Yeah. So the paradox of choice. Having choice is a good thing.
Yeah.
But having too much of choice could be a bad thing.
So what would be a way to sort of like navigate this thing? Because after all, it's not something you can change anymore, right?
I think it's what's important is for a person. This is always sometimes may be seen as a cliche, but I believe it's true. In order for someone to truly love another person, they need to truly love themselves first.
Right.
And to truly love yourself, you need to understand who you are as a person. And also, if you're looking for a stable, strong, nurturing relationship, what are you looking for in a partner? Right. So it's not just about what the person have materialistically, but what does the person think? What are the belief system? What are the values? How do they see life in general?
Yeah.
And those are the things that we need to figure out. But having said that, it does not mean that, I've thought about this. This is the 10 things that my partner needs to have. And in order for you to be my partner, you need to check off all the boxes. Yeah. Potentially, but you can also find someone who check off all your boxes and you still not like them.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're still not attracted to them. Yeah. So there's one theory in positive psychology talks about love. It's called the Steinberg triangulation of love. So triangular theory of love. And in order for true love, what they call consummate love, like long-lasting, sustainable, nurturing love, requires three things. It requires passion, that I'm in love with you and I want to be with you. It requires intimacy, that I can not just intimate on a physical level, but on an emotional level and spiritual level, and also commitment. These three things are the cornerstone for a strong relationship to grow and mature.
So I think when I heard this first in class, my immediate thought was, okay, passion is such a big deal, but won't passion eventually die off as your relationship goes longer and longer?
Well, yes. So if a relationship is simply based on passion, then it's just simply lust. Like you're just attracted to the person, you want to be with them all the time, and that infatuation could last, a good couple of weeks or couple of months. But once it lasts and you don't do anything about it, it would go down. Yeah. And but that being said, it doesn't mean that passion cannot be sustainable. You need to work at love. I mean, I've been with my wife now for. Oh my God! that shouldn't be. I've been 5 years now. More than 5 years. We've been married. We've been married since 2013. Okay. And so, 2016. My God, 2016.
Oh no.
We've been married for 4 years, I think, and then we known each other for about 2-3 years before we got married. So we've been together for 6-7 years. Yeah. And every day I find new things about her that is interesting. Every day I can fall in love with her all over again because of who she is as a person. Because she is someone that doesn't slow down, that doesn't become complacent with who she is. Yes. And I think in order for passion to be sustainable, we cannot just stop and say, we find my partner, let's just forget about everything, let's just forget about my looks, forget about my what I wear, I just eat whatever I want, don't care, take care of my body, and of course that passion will go, right? Yes. So yes, I mean we've all seen this. I mean, we've probably seen aunties and uncles or friends and colleagues who look wonderful when they're single. Once they got together, got married, they just completely let themselves go. That cannot happen. Right. That cannot happen. You need to work on yourself every single day.
So like on your end as well, do you actually actively try to pay attention to the newer things with your wife to try to maintain that passion?
I would look at her, because I'm a very blessed and fortunate person that I have a wife who is funny, adorable, and just do crazy things every day. Right. So I have something new and surprise every day. Yeah. But yes, I would try to try to find new things for us to do together. Yeah. We're trying to look at her life and see what I can do to support her in the things that she does. So there's always something happening. Right. There's always something going, and we're not stopping. Right. Once you stop, the passion can fade very quickly. I would imagine.
Because I believe for most relationships, right, not to be too slapping realism too much reality in people's face too much, right? But I feel that a lot of the times people forget that in a relationship, right, majority of it is made up of the not so spectacular times. It's the lower energy times. And like it's always like these times that people always cannot think about when they are tunnel visioned and looking at this person of their affection, you know, and then it's just like, oh, no, everything's gonna be great, but like everything is not gonna be great every day.
Right.
So how would be, you know, what would be something that partners can do to try to overcome the not so great times, you know?
Well, I think being able to have open and honest communication is really important to often be able to show appreciation,
Right.
and to let your partner know that you care would be useful. I think another misconception that just flashed across my mind is that people often think that if I'm in love, you love me, you need to spend all the time with me, we need to be doing everything together.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
think that's true. I think that's absolutely not true. I think a healthy relationship requires together time as well as alone time.
Yes.
Right? There needs to be a balance between interpersonal relationship, individual, spending time with yourself, and striking that balance would be useful. So right now at home, you know, we could be the same house. I could be in the bedroom. I could be in the study. She could be in the living room, and we're completely content with that because we realize and we understand that while we enjoy time together, we can have a life together. I still have my own life to worry about.
Yes.
Right? So having that understanding would be very useful.
I think
Yeah.
I think the conflict management is a big deal in relationships.
Oh, yes.
No, for sure.
Yeah, because relationship, as much as it's good and we like to think that it's good forever, it's probably not.
Yeah.
And what makes or break a relationship, I would say, is how well the couple manages
conflict. Yeah, actually, that's really true.
So, like, do you have any like tips on like how to manage conflict?
Well, oftentimes I see Asian couples, because as a marriage and family therapist, I would see a lot of times people or couples are angry with each other, but they don't talk about this openly. Or
They do not.
They would triangulate. So in marriage and family therapy, we have a theory called triangulation. So instead of talking to you directly, if I have an issue with you, but I don't want to be so confrontational, I would go through you to tell you that you're wrong, right? Let's say if I have a child,
Yes.
and if let's say if I'm the mother and you're the father, and I pissed off at you,
Yeah.
oh sorry, but you know. And I don't want to be directly telling you. I would tell you, hey, your father is really bad. He's not doing this. He's not doing that.
It is so true.
And then that becomes an even bigger problem because no children or child in the family should have so much power.
Yeah.
No, the parents need to be able to provide that structure and to let the child grow up healthily. And if I put all my burden and put all my anger and frustration upon you, then you would grow up to hate your father, and then your father would hate me, and then this will go on forever. Yeah.
Yes.
This is not a good
mad.
thing.
Yeah. No, because this actually happens in my family, but it's a slightly different dynamic. So most of the time, my mom and I, we have a lot of friction, right? And my dad is the person that is always being like, things are being triangulated towards.
Yeah.
Right, but like, and this has caused my mom and my relationship to be really strained, you know, to the point where by now that I've reached a certain age and then I'm a little bit more mature and I understand and stuff, but it has reached a point whereby I feel that it is a little bit hard for us to approach. You know, the problem is just so big and abstract that it's hard to approach. Yeah, so I think this is crazy because it's opened my eyes to a whole new world. I never knew this was a thing. But
I mean, triangulation is definitely not the way to go. I mean, if you have a grudge, if you have something, you know, have a thing not happy with you, we need to talk. I mean, the reality is there's no way to avoid conflict in a personal relationship.
Definitely.
No matter how close, no matter how similar, how loving you are, shit will hit the fan.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes bad things will happen.
Yeah.
Right? And when bad things happen, instead of turning away from each other, what we used was turn towards each other.
Which is actually not something we instinctively want to do.
No, it's not, because running away from problems is easier than actually facing the problem. But if you want this relationship to last and you want it to be happy and be healthy, then turn towards each other. Find ways to communicate openly and look at the problem itself and not attach the problem and personify the problems.
Right.
A lot of the couples would say, you know, if something bad happens, you're the cause of this. Like they attribute the cause of the problem to the person rather than looking objectively at what the problem is, and that could lead to you know no one likes to be blamed for anything.
Yeah, no
and
one.
So if my wife said that this happened because I'm bad and I'm not doing my job, then I'm immediately turned off. Right? I don't want to listen to this.
Yeah.
But instead, let's talk about the problem. What is the problem objectively, and can we find a solution towards it? I think that's what research would tell you to do.
Right.
Do you feel like it's a red flag if a couple says that, oh, we have been together for 2 years and we haven't had a fight? Or do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I think fight will eventually happen. Yeah, eventually will happen, whether it's big or small. But it's not to avoid conflict, but actually allow conflict to be in your life. You know, you just can't run away from them. But once conflict happens, can we not stonewall each other instead, and we can turn it towards each other and find solutions to problems objectively, and also being able to use humor. You know, sometimes humor can help dissolve a lot of intense emotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have.
That's my go-to tool for those things, actually. I'm just glad that I have a rather appropriate sense of humor, maybe inappropriate at sometimes, but it relates well with my partner, so it's great. You know, and then most of the time, whenever we face conflict, I'm just glad that neither of us are the sort to clam up. You know, because there are people who like I've had friends who especially when they have problems with their partner, they are very articulate with me, but they're not able to translate that when they are facing their partner. And it gets especially frustrating and bad, I feel, when both of them are doing that.
I mean, it's bilateral, right?
Yeah.
It's how one thing that I say and how you receive it, and once you receive what I said, and you become, people can potentially become defensive.
Yeah.
Especially if I start labeling things, if I'm
Yes.
telling that you're wrong, you're bad, you're not up to par, and then I take that personally, then there's no communication. You know, I shut off immediately.
Yeah.
So instead of being, pointing fingers, let's look at the problem itself and find a way to work this out together, and eliminate that type of defensiveness.
Okay, I think this is a nice way to end it, right?
Oh wow! Okay,
The
that was the
camera
end
is
of it.
like dying already.
Oh really?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so once again, we've come to the end of another topic. I think this topic was another long one that we could probably bring up again and discuss next time. Honestly, today was incredibly enlightening once again. So thank you so much, Prof, for shedding light on these things, you know. And I think it's great because what we talked about did not just stay on romantic relationships. And I think with all relationships, conflict management is something that's extremely important, right? So it's not just romantic because love comes in many forms, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is the last episode of like 3-episode series with Prof Andy.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to see him, you can leave in the comments below.
Yeah, and then we'll see what we can do.
You can
okay?
also come to NTU.
You can
I'll
always
bring
come
the
to NTU.
entire entire set all
Why
the way
not?
to NTU.
Honestly.
Why not? Why don't you help me
Yeah.
bring it?
Okay, so thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so
my
much, Prof,
pleasure.
for coming
Thank
to
you
our
for
show.
having me.
Yeah. And my name is John.
My name is Celeste.
And I'm Andy.
Yes, keep watching our show, and we'll see you next time. And then who knows, we'll bring another special guest, and then you can find out a little bit more. Bye.